YouTube family, this is Grown B, and today we're going to be talking about how to play mind games with your opponent in Sparking Zero and really any other fighting game. So first of all, mind games are when you and your opponent have a mutual understanding of what your options are in a certain situation, and you use that information to try to create advantages for yourself. And so I'm going to use one example for this video, and then if you guys like it, we can do more videos just like this when it comes to mind games. So one of my favorite setups that I use against my training partner is this lift strike setup that starts off with a couple of staggers, and then we do use a lift strike, and that is when I go in and advance to go for some sort of combo. He responds to this with a super counter that sends us into a vanish battle that he wins. So later on in the training session, my follow-up after my lift strike includes a sidestep, which is going to beat him blocking and it's going to beat him trying to use perception. And so at this moment, the mind games have been unlocked, because I just revealed to him that I have a plan if you decide to perception off of my lift strike follow-up. And so one of the things he decides to do is just sidestep my sidestep and then whiff punish me if I go too early trying to attack him. The mind game has now developed into, if I get my lift strike off, am I going to attack immediately on my follow-up, or am I going to sidestep because maybe I don't want to get sonic swayed? On his end, he's asking similar questions. Do I want to use perception to try to get out of this situation, even though it leaves me open to be sidestepped or key blast? And where it really becomes a mind game is the fact that in a hypothetical situation, even if there are only 3 different options that a person has to respond, most players have tendencies and they'll favor a certain option over others. And so for some, that may be perception. So even though there's 3 different options, you may have more like an 80% chance of being successful if you choose the option that counters perception, because they're more often to use that thing until they prove to you that they kind of balance that out a little bit more. And so this is just one setup that may have 3 different layers of mind games attached to it, but there can also be anywhere from 5 to 7 different setups like that going on in a match like this that really can make a game extremely exciting and very fun. And this is why sometimes you'll be playing against someone who's a little bit better than you, and you wonder why they would teach you how to counter a move that they're using against you. Well, really what happens is once they teach that to you and you understand it, they have now unlocked the mind game. This is honestly my favorite thing about fighting games, and this is the reason why fighting games are my favorite type of game in the world. And I think people struggle with Sparking Zero to an extent. Somebody was saying that it doesn't have any flow to it, and for me, it has plenty of flow. But in this game, it's a little bit more about playing against your opponent than it is about going super hardcore into trying to learn matchups and frame data and all this other stuff that you can lean on. You have to be a little bit more intuitive about who you're fighting and how they're fighting, and that is where the flow of the game really comes from. So when it comes to me and my training partner, with even just that one setup with the staggers into the lift strike, we're still developing other responses to that and just logging it away in our data of each other. And this is one of the best things about being able to have a training partner or being able to play against the same opponent for an extended period of time. And there's so many moments where honestly you kind of start to feel like a genius because you're dealing with so much information all at once and you're making the right decisions, and it's super exciting. So here we are at the end of the video, and I'm starting to theorize that based on what I'm seeing, a lot of people aren't natural at playing mind games with their opponent. And so would you guys like to see more videos like this where we go through some setups to where at least you can learn the concepts of mind games and start to apply it to some of your own fighting styles and your own setups? Because 5 to 10 mind games can be developing all in the same match, all at the same time. And so sure, maybe you take some of my mind game setups, or maybe you start to kind of learn the concepts and create some of your own. I truly think that this is one of the best joys of being a fighting game player. So if you like the video, like it. If you think someone else might like it, share it. And if you want to see more, I really hope that you will subscribe.